Welcome to Fit for Life, a podcast series devoted to helping you find the motivation, inspiration, and determination you need to achieve and exceed all of your fitness goals. Hi guys, I'm JT from MyFitMoto. I'm a nationally certified personal trainer with over 25 years of fitness experience. And I'm going to use all my years of experience and everything I've learned along my fitness journey to help you get fit for life. Hey guys, JT here. So if you've listened to any of my previous podcasts or if you've read any of my blog material, you know how important I believe nutrition is to your fitness program and your fitness results. It's really a key component to achieving optimal results and creating an overall healthy lifestyle. So today's episode is part 2 of our 3-part series focused on your nutrition. I'm going to talk about the importance of nutrition as it relates to your fitness program, also the impact that your nutrition will have on your training, your recovery, and ultimately on your results. I'm also going to talk about some of the myths about nutrition, some of the stuff that's true and some of the stuff that maybe not so much. You know, we are constantly bombarded with tons of information, especially via social media, with regard to nutrition. And although most of it is legit and spot on, there is a degree of information that is misguided and just incorrect. So my end goal here is to get you squared away in terms of your nutrition so that you can make better informed decisions that will ultimately help you achieve the results you want from your fitness program. So part 2 of our nutritional series is going to focus on protein, a key component to muscle building, recovery, and repair. I'm going to talk about how protein works in your system and why it's so important to your training results. I'll talk about some of the best post-workout options when it comes to protein and also share with you what my many years of experience working with clients has taught me about protein consumption so that you can decide what might work best for you in order for you to maximize your training results. Because like I said, everybody responds a little bit differently when it comes to training and nutrition. So I'll give you some ideas and suggestions so you can decide the protein options that might work best for you. Now I have to follow all that up by saying I do not have a degree in nutrition. Although I have spent the last 25 years as a fitness advocate and the last 30 as someone who's been involved in a long-term sustainable fitness program. I've also had a great opportunity to interact and speak with a wide variety of fitness professionals, in addition to former and current clients. So I feel I've gained a tremendous amount of insight into nutrition and how it relates to fitness programs. And my goal here is to share those insights and knowledge with you so that you can use that to your advantage. So like I said, today's podcast is going to focus on protein. Now protein is like the golden boy of nutrition when it comes to fitness, right? Protein is the kid that everybody wants to go to the prom with. It's everywhere you look. In all of the foods you see protein marketed in pancakes, snacks, drinks. I mean, protein is the buzzword that gets everybody involved in fitness excited, right? Because protein is kind of the end-all and be-all when it comes to your fitness results. And although it's definitely a nutritional requirement and something you need to have, there's a time and a place to consume your protein so that you can use it to its greatest advantage. So that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the timing of your protein, the type of protein, and also how to make protein work for you. Because just consuming protein is not going to get you the results you want. It's all about when, what, and how you consume your protein that matters. So let me go back to how protein is marketed, right? We see a lot of packaging today that calls out the specific number of grams of protein in that particular product. And people are really focused on that, right? And for good reason. They know that protein is going to help them achieve their fitness goals. They know that it's an essential component of adding and building lean muscle. It's going to help them recover. It's going to get them to where they want to be in terms of their fitness goals. And that's all true. However, just as important as consuming that protein is the type of protein that you're consuming, when you're consuming that protein, and how often you're consuming that protein as it relates to your training program. Okay, because all those things tie in together. And they all have to be aligned in order for you to maximize the benefit of protein consumption. So yes, protein definitely needs to be part of your fitness program. No doubt about that. Now the question becomes, where do I put that protein in relationship to my training and my recovery so that I can maximize my results, right? Because that's the key here, maximizing our results, getting the most out of our nutrition so that we are seeing the results that we want and the results that we expect. So where does protein play a role in that, right? Okay, so let's first look at how protein works in our system and what it does for us, right? Protein is basically a key component to muscle building and recovery. Because when you work out, when you train, what you're doing is you're creating micro tears in your muscle that eventually need to be repaired and need to recover in order for you to add and build muscle. Okay, that's kind of the simplest explanation of that. So in that process, protein takes a major role in helping achieve that goal of repair and recovery. Okay, and there's kind of a key window of opportunity after your training that you need to take advantage of. And that is the window called protein synthesis, when your muscles are most receptive to protein and to building and repairing the muscles that you've damaged during training, right? And that window is typically 60 to 90 minutes post-training. So after your workout, 60 to 90 minutes, that's where there's an opportunity, or the greatest opportunity for your muscles to receive that protein so that they can begin to rebuild and repair, so that they begin that process, right? Well, consuming a protein-rich meal after your workout or your training is not necessarily going to accomplish that goal, because high-protein meals typically take too long to get into your system to effectively hit that 60 to 90 minute protein synthesis window, right? So you need a quicker, faster option. You need something that's going to get into your system a lot quicker than a high-protein meal, because typically they take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours to absorb into your system. So that's why a lot of people turn to protein shakes, right? Something that is easily and more quickly absorbed into your system so that you can hit that protein synthesis window of 60 to 90 minutes. Because again, that's ideal. That's the kind of timing you want to hit. So the concept behind protein shakes is this. It's really the best way to deliver amino acids in a free form, right? And free form amino acids don't require digestion, so they are more rapidly absorbed into your bloodstream. It takes approximately 15 minutes for those amino acids to get absorbed so you can hit that protein synthesis window, which is why you see people typically taking their protein shakes usually 15 to 30 minutes after their workout, because they want to get those nutrients in their system so they can start the muscle repair and recovery process. Using rapidly absorbed protein accomplishes two things. First, it immediately starts the process of rebuilding and recovering your muscles from your training session, okay? Second, it keeps you from being catabolic, which is basically when your muscles begin to feed on themselves. I know that doesn't paint a pretty picture, but that's the reality. When you become catabolic, basically your muscles use your own muscle tissue as an energy source. And that's not what you want. That's defeating the whole purpose of your training. So excessively long workouts essentially raise your cortisol level, which leads to muscle wasting. That's when you enter a catabolic state, and that's definitely not what you want for your training. Because at that point, you're basically cannibalizing your own muscle tissue when you become catabolic. That's why I caution people not to work out too long when they have not properly fueled themselves, because working out too long without the proper fuel, you're going to basically get into a catabolic state where you begin to feed on your own muscle tissue. So, 90-minute, 2-hour workouts, if you're not properly fueled, and most people are not a good thing. So that's really something else to be aware of. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But the idea here is to hit that protein synthesis window with the nutrients that your muscles are requiring, right? And that nutrient primarily is protein. So that's what we want to do. We want to make sure we hit that protein synthesis window so that you're feeding your muscles so they can begin the process of repair and recovery. And what I advise most of my clients to do, and based on all of the information and research that I've accumulated, a 2-to-1 protein to carb ratio after your workout is ideal. Now, I've said, if you listen to our earlier podcast or the first part of this series on carbohydrates, that ratio is reversed prior to your workout. It's 2-to-1 carbs to protein, but post-workout, in order to feed your muscles and get them to repair and grow, it's 2-to-1 protein to carbs. So depending on your training schedule and your fitness objectives, you're going to need to consume protein on a fairly regular basis throughout the day. Now, I'm not saying the only thing you have to consume all day is protein, nor am I saying you have to consume protein in huge quantity. It really comes down to the type of training you're doing and your training expectations. That's going to really dictate the amount of protein that you're going to need to consume. I can tell you this though, two of the most frequent questions I get from people are, how much protein should I consume on a daily basis, and what type of protein is best for me? And really the short answer to that is, it really comes down to what your training objectives are, right? If you're looking to add lean muscle, if you're looking to add size and mass, those protein requirements are going to be a little bit different for each of those specific goals. In addition, everybody responds a little bit differently, so there's not one answer for everybody. But you can get some guidelines, right? You can get some parameters that you can work within, and then as you experiment and as you kind of get to see how your body responds, then you can make adjustments accordingly. And that's really the goal here. We know that protein is required, right? Primarily to help repair, recover, and add muscle, you're going to need protein. How much you're going to need, it really comes down to how intense your training is, how frequent your training is, the duration of your training. Those type of things are all going to factor in to that protein, carbohydrate, and healthy fat equation. So here's what I do know. Protein is the essential nutrient for helping you build the body you want. Protein helps decrease hunger, builds and maintains muscle, fortifies your bones, improves brain function, aids with your immune system, and it can even update your phone when you need to. No, just kidding. The bottom line is protein is essential for helping you achieve training results. Okay? I don't think that's any surprise to anybody. And there's some recommendations that, I kind of align with. I don't think they're out of line, and I think they apply to probably 90% of the people who are in training or fitness programs. And basically, those are to consume 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein for every kilogram of your target body weight. So, to translate that, basically, as an example, if we have a 180-pound male and they want to maintain their current weight, they would need to consume 100 to 130 grams of protein, which is roughly, like 6 palm-sized portions of protein-rich food every day. So that's about 30 grams each meal and an additional 10 to 20 grams in 2 snacks, if you break it up that way. And there's, great options out there for protein because, like I said earlier, everybody's touting the benefits of protein, right? That they want to put protein in everything, or they're calling out from a marketing perspective that this has X grams of protein in it. So things like chicken breasts, fish, pork, tofu, salmon, shellfish, lamb, all those things are high in protein and can give you a rich source of protein as far as your meals go. You can also find a lot of high protein snacks out there. some protein drinks. Protein shakes are also great. I'll get into a little bit about the difference between the different protein shakes in a few minutes, but one of the other things I want to talk about as far as recommendations, it's interesting because the USDA recommends that you break down your plate kind of in this way. 20% fruits, 30% vegetables, 30% grains, and 20% protein. Okay? And it's interesting because in recent studies, what they found, most people how they consume that breakdown is a little bit different. They have 12% fruit, 29% vegetables, 21% grains, and 38% protein. So everybody's on that protein train, man. Everybody's riding that. Because like I said, all the marketing, everything has been geared towards the benefits of protein, and if you want to build and add muscle, protein is the key component to help you do that. And that's true. That's not false. Like I said earlier, you're really going to have to experiment with what's going to work best for you, because these recommendations are simply recommendations. They're not meant to apply to everyone, because everybody's training regime, their schedule, their length of training, all that stuff is a little bit different, right? So, like I said, these are kind of basic guidelines and parameters. They're not meant to be taken literally, so you should apply them accordingly. So let me talk a little bit about protein powders, right? Because that's a big thing as well. Protein drinks, protein powders are really popular because, like I said earlier, they're a quick way to get protein and BCCAs, which are branched chain amino acids, into your system relatively quickly, right? They're rapidly absorbed. They can kind of hit that protein synthesis window and help the process of repair and recovery for your muscles. So that's what makes them really so popular. But a few things to look for, and this is what I would recommend, because I think in the long run it's going to help you, because I think, for me, I'm not a big fan of the sweetened protein powders. I like to add my own stuff, my own fruit or whatever I'm going to add to it, rather than buy powders that have a high amount of sugar or artificial sweeteners or other ingredients that I really don't want to consume on a fairly consistent basis. For me personally, my preference is to use a non-sweetened protein powder. But I know that some people like to have, some flavor to it. So if you do have to go with a sweetened protein powder, look for something that has 5 grams or less of sugar per serving. That's kind of like the benchmark there. So 5 grams or less of sugar per serving. If you can find less than that, great. Some of the ones that use stevia or some of these other highly potent sweeteners might be able to meet those guidelines. But again, I prefer unsweetened because I like to add things to it like fruit that can give me the benefit of a natural food and a natural sweetener, and it also adds some good flavor to it as well. Also, when choosing a protein powder, you want to look for stuff with whey isolate in it if you're looking for whey protein. They're high quality proteins that have amino acids that you need, specifically leucine. Leucine is one of the 9 essential amino acids, and leucine is really important because it's not created naturally in the body, so you have to get it from a food source. And leucine is essential for protein synthesis because it aids in the repair, rebuilding, and recovery of muscles and muscle growth. So it's really important to make sure that the whey protein that you choose has leucine in it, and most of them, if not all of them, do. But just wanted to point out that it's a really important amino acid. Also, if you're concerned about calories, if you're not looking to add size or bulk, make sure that you check how many calories per serving. Look for protein powders that have approximately 150 or fewer calories for every 25 grams of protein. Because again, if you're just trying to add lean muscle, then you don't want the extra calories. Now conversely, if you're looking to add size and mass, well then the calories won't matter. So it really comes down to your specific fitness goals. whether that's to add lean muscle or to simply bulk up and add size, that's really going to dictate the type and quantity of protein that you're going to consume. So based on what you're trying to accomplish, your protein consumption will vary. But if you're somebody who's looking to cut or add lean muscle, then look for something that has 150 or fewer calories for every 25 grams of protein. Because really what you want is the protein BCA benefit, not necessarily the calories. And also, this is important, look for something that's NSF certified for sports or Informed Choice certified. That means it basically contains what it says it contains. So there's no hidden ingredients, there's no things that if you're an athlete or anything like that that are going to get you in trouble. So, look for NSF or Informed Choice certified. That will ensure that you're consuming what's on the label. There are no hidden ingredients. There's nothing in there that could potentially get you in trouble, especially if you're an athlete who gets tested and you might have concerns about consuming something that is not on the label. This way you're assured of full disclosure, so everything that's on the label is in the product. There's no hidden ingredients or anything that could potentially become an issue for you down the road. Okay, so I want to share with you some information that I came across. It was a study done by the University of Nebraska, and basically it focused on choosing post-workout snacks in advance of your training session. So, in other words, after your training session, you already know what you're going to consume. And basically what the research said is that, when people were asked to decide before their workout what to choose as their post-workout snack, they ultimately made better choices. So that's a good segue into talking about meal prep. Now, I know I've discussed meal prep on several other podcasts and in some of the blog posts that I've put up. And meal prep is definitely a good way to get you thinking about your nutrition and your specific fitness goals, how your nutrition needs to align with your fitness goals, because you're actually taking time to think about the food that you need to prepare and how that fits into your overall fitness plan. So, that's a good thing. It also eliminates a lot of the spur-of-the-moment poor food choices that we sometimes make when we're just hungry. Like going back to what I just said about choosing your post-workout snack, if you haven't decided what to have prior to your workout and you just finish your workout and you're hungry, you might grab the first thing that, looks good to you. And usually that's not the best or healthiest thing for you. Usually it's kind of a spur-of-the-moment decision. It's a matter of convenience. You just want to grab something because you're hungry, but it doesn't necessarily serve a good purpose in terms of your nutrition or your overall fitness plan. So that's why meal prep, thinking about things in advance, really putting some thought, time, and effort into your nutrition and your food choices is usually a good thing, rather than just grabbing something that's convenient and not necessarily good for you from a nutritional standpoint. When you think about it, a lot of the stuff that's really not good for us is cheap and convenient. That's why fast food, those type of things, you kind of, they're spur of the moment, kind of quick decision choices that usually we regret later. And so that's why putting time and effort and thought into your meals in advance is going to help you stay on course and stay aligned with your fitness goals. And it will keep your nutrition in line as well. So that's what you want to do. That's really the ultimate goal here. Okay, so hopefully I've beaten you into submission regarding the importance of meal prep. So let me just kind of tie this all up and go back to protein in general, right? The importance of protein in your diet. I've talked early on about the important role that it plays in muscle building and recovery and repair. And just in general, in terms of overall health, protein is a really important component of your diet. It's a necessary component of not only regular body function, but also when it comes to any type of training or fitness program, protein plays a vital role in helping you achieve maximum results. And there's a lot of information out there and available about protein consumption. And you really have to find out what works best for you. And sometimes that involves trial and error. You're going to have to kind of experiment with the right amount of protein that works for you. Like I said, there are guidelines, and you can look at different guidelines and see how that aligns with your specific goals. But in general, you really want to kind of determine how your body responds to not only quantity of protein, but different types of protein. As for eating too much protein or the overconsumption of protein, I'll just tell you this. There was a recent study out of Canada that looked at the effects of high protein diet on kidney function. And what the study found, that for people that do not have pre-existing kidney issues, then high protein diets are not an issue for most people. If you have normal kidney function and you don't have any pre-existing kidney issues, then high protein diets do not present a specific issue for most people. So that should hopefully alleviate some concerns you might have about consuming a high protein diet. So kidneys can handle the excess protein, even the protein that you don't utilize, quite effectively and efficiently, as long as there's no pre-existing kidney issues. So again, people sometimes worry about consuming too much protein. What's too much? Well, it really comes down to what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish, right? But I would err on the side of eating more rather than less protein, because for most people, especially those involved in a moderate to intense training program, you're going to need that protein for recovery, repair, and to add muscle, whether that's lean muscle or you're looking to add size and mass. Okay, so one other thing I want to point out about protein consumption, and this is really based on my personal experience and anecdotal information that I've received from clients over the years. And it really relates to consuming protein usually right before your workout. And what I found for me personally is I don't necessarily have a good workout when I do that. And I know there's a lot of schools of thought on consuming protein prior to your workout. And most of those recommendations say that you should have your protein 1 to 2 hours before your workout, ideally, along with carbs and healthy fats. And I think that works best for me, and for most people that I've worked with, that seems to work best. So I just want to caution you about having too much protein right before you work out, because it seems for me that I'm a little bit more sluggish and I don't respond as well to my training when I do that. Now, you may be different and you might have to experiment with that, but I just wanted to kind of put that out there in case you're consuming protein prior to your workout and then you're kind of not feeling great, like, a quarter of the way, halfway into your workout, and you're wondering why. That might be why, because I know, like I said, for me personally, that's been my experience. So when I consume my protein prior to a workout, I usually try to do it 1 to 2 hours before. Okay, so here's a final word of advice that I would give to everyone, whether you're involved in a fitness program or not. Read labels. Understand what's in the food that you consume. If you don't know what it is, look it up. I mean, you can find anything, you can find the answer and explanation on anything these days with a simple Google search. So if you're not sure of some of the ingredients or you don't know what they mean, just look them up. Make sure you're educated about what you're consuming so that you know that what you're eating is what you want to put in your body. And this way you'll have a better understanding of how that food you're consuming is impacting your training, your recovery, and ultimately your results. Also, when you can, avoid processed foods. Try to gravitate towards whole foods, foods that have simple ingredients. Typically the foods that have a long list of ingredients are not the best options for you. So try to avoid processed foods if you can. I know it's a hard thing to do, especially when you're looking for a cheap, convenient option. But when you can, choose the whole food over the processed food, because that will ultimately be better for you in the long run. Now, I know it can be a challenge to make the right food choices all the time. So that's why I recommend using an app like Fujicate. Fujicate is great. I use it all the time when I'm shopping, and I also mentioned it in part 1 of our series about carbohydrates. And Fujicate basically allows you to scan the barcode of any food and gives you a nutritional breakdown, the good, the bad, the ugly. And it really helps inform you about the ingredients that are in the food that you're about to purchase. So check it out. It's called Fujicate. It's free. You can download it, put it on your phone, and then when you go shopping, you just pull up the food finder with the barcode scanner, and you can scan your food, and Fujicate will give you the 411, yes, that is an old school reference, on the specific ingredients in that food. It's really cool, and like I said, it's free, and it kind of opens your eyes a little bit in terms of some of the ingredients that are in some of the foods that are marketed as healthy and maybe not so much. Like I said, I use it all the time. It's really good because, like I said, a lot of stuff that's marketed as healthy isn't necessarily healthy for you. So you need to really just know yourself what's good and what isn't, what works for you and what doesn't. Sometimes that involves trial and error. Sometimes it's just a matter of reading specific ingredients and knowing, hey, I know that's not good for me, and I'm not gonna buy that. So educate yourself and understand what's in the food that you're eating. And like I said, that should apply whether you're in a fitness program or not, but especially if you're in a training program and you're looking to maximize your results. I'm JT from LifeFitMoto. That concludes this episode. If you have any questions, you can contact me at johnmyfitmoto@gmail.com or through our website, myfitmoto.com, or via our Instagram or Facebook pages. Please check out our other podcasts and subscribe to our podcast channel. Well, thanks again for listening. I hope my advice, experience, and knowledge helps you get fit for life.